Hello, and welcome back to Diecast Graveyard. My name is Paul. Thanks for joining me today. We've got a real fun build here. We've got an original Johnny Lightning triple threat. Now, these cars were more like a fantasy type car because they had exaggerated engines and body panels, etc., but they still deserve their place in diecast history. As far as the car, they were a lot faster than the Hot Wheels at the time, and I know this because I was a kid and owned some. But it was they were a little bit hard to find. So we're going to take this car and we're going to restore it to its original condition, maybe do a little bit different on the paint, but this is going to be a great time doing this restoration. Now, if you like Johnny Lightning, stick around. This is some good tips for you. So go ahead, grab your favorite adult beverage, join in today as we do today's Johnny Lightning restoration. Let's go ahead and get started with today's build.
It's time to start the autopsy.
I've got the car post already drilled out, so let's go ahead and take it apart. The engines are just sitting on there. They got a little pedestal they sit on. Now, these plastic exhaust pipes, they are soft plastic. They're pretty easy to find around, but if you're going to do a rebuild on a Johnny Lightning, you're probably going to have to find yourself a donor car because parts for these cars are very hard to get, especially the wheels and stuff like that. Here's the body and the windshield. We'll have to drill that out and take it out. But the posts are also very small in this, so I recommend you use 1-72 screws. We'll get that windshield out of there. Here's the exhaust pipes, and like I said, they're soft plastic. And if you can find them with all the pipes intact, you're very lucky. Here's the base, again, heavy metal. And this is what contributed to the cars being so fast. And the wheels actually ran really well. Here's the engine. We're going to clean this up and we're going to re-chrome it with a Molotow chrome pen. And there's one engine for the front also. Let's go ahead and continue.
Meanwhile, back in the graveyard.
Here we're going to use a mixture of lime-away and water. And we're going to put it in there for approximately 3 minutes. But keep an eye on it here. This is to help get the tarnish off the bottom. Now, if you happen to leave this in too long, it will blacken up the base and make it really hard to get the tarnish off there. So only limit it to about 3 minutes, but you still want to keep your eyeballs on there. And there's today's tip from your Uncle Paulie. We've let it set for approximately 3 minutes. Now we're going to take a brass brush and we're going to clean off the tarnish. Now when you're using this brush, make sure it's a brass brush. And you don't want to use the steel ones because they'll put a lot of scratches in the metal. And I've learned that, and I'm passing that on to you. Now you also want to make sure that this is a real brass brush. And how you can tell that is by putting a magnet next to it. If the magnet picks up the brush, it's brass-coated steel, and it will still do all that scratching that I was telling you about before. So be careful when you do that, especially if you get your brushes from like Harbor Freight or some little cheap store or something like that. But just take it easy and be prepared for that, and you'll be fine. You won't scratch your car or your base all up. Scrub it off as best you can. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click on that little bell to be alerted to any future videos that come out. If you're getting anything out of these videos, please mash that like button, hit that subscribe button. I've got a whole bunch more videos lined up to come out in the very near future. Plus, we got that super huge, ginormous build-off happening, and the first car is due on December 15th, and I apologize for the confusion. I extended it for people that got the message late. Yeah, my wife is a ham for sure. Anyway, so that looks good. This is really clean. Now, if you want to, you can rub that down with Renaissance wax to keep it from tarnishing in the future. let's go ahead and put the body in the citrus strip. Now sometimes I'll use it over and over and over again, and people ask, how long can you use it? I say, until it stops working. It's the best answer I can give you. I got a little bit of green. I'm going to mix it with a little bit of blue Spectra Flame, and I'm going to make my own aqua colored paint, just to try and match it up to the dark paint that was on there before. If you're going to do this, make sure you remember how much of paint that you used from each bottle. That way there, if you have to recreate the color, you can at least get it close. Let's mix this all up and get that car sprayed on.
I love how the moonlight shines over the mausoleum.
Okay, we've got it in the spray booth. Go ahead and get all the hard to hit areas first, underneath in the fender wells, underneath the car, etc. like that. And then take your time and put on some light mist coats or tack coats. Once you get that first coat on there, let it set for about 10 to 15 minutes to give it time to start to set up, and it will also give the other paint that you're putting on there something to hold on to, or as I like to say, a tooth to bite with. Now only you know how much paint you can put on there without it running, so you're going to have to experiment a little bit. But remember, the more Spectra Flame paint that you put on there, the darker the color is going to be, because you're putting several layers on top of each other, and it's like looking through a stained glass window with a bunch of them in front of it. Here's what we got, folks. This is how the body turned out, and that color is very, very nice. I love that color. Here's the base. We didn't do too much with the tires because they were in pretty good shape, but we got that cleaned up. Here's the engines. Before we put them in, we're going to hit them with a Molotow chrome pen, and we'll brighten those up. And here's the exhaust pipes ready to go. Oh, and then we got to put the windshield back in. Let's put our parts together and give my creation life.
Life! Life, do you hear me? Give my creation life!
Folks, this is what we started with, this Johnny Lightning Triple Threat from the Toppers series. Again, this was one of the original cars that came out within the first 2 years. Johnny Lightning makes some great products, and there's a bunch of new stuff that the group Playing Mantis has put together, and their quality is incredible. We took the car apart, we evaluated what we had, we did an autopsy. We come up with our own mixture of Spectra Flame paint, and I encourage you to do that also. This is a lot of fun and a love for me as far as doing these cars and doing these videos for you. I truly enjoy it and love putting the videos out. And as I always say, folks, you can do this too. Start off with some main lines, experiment with paints. Get yourself an airbrush if you don't have an airbrush. You won't go back to rattle cans, I promise you. Once you start learning how the airbrush works, and you'll be able to do some really cool paint jobs. But this was a great time. And here's what we got to, folks. Look at the beautiful finish on this car. This Johnny Lightning never looked so good, even when it came out of the package. But we've got like this beautiful Spectra Flame aqua color that I mixed up myself. I used some blue and some green, and that's what we came up with. I touched up the engines with a Molotow chrome pen, and we put everything back together. And I've got a bunch of videos out there in the how-to section on my playlist. How to select an airbrush, how to select a compressor, how to clean your airbrush, very, very important there. How to take your car apart, how to prepare it for paint. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out in the comments section. I do my best to answer every single question, but I do read every single comment, I promise you. But I had a great time with this today, and I'm looking forward to doing a bunch more for you nice folks. I want to thank you for coming to Diecast Graveyard and watching the videos. Again, I've got a lot more videos coming up in the very near future, so mash that subscribe button, folks. That's how I make content for you. Thank you so much for joining me today. We got some build-offs coming up, and I've got a live stream coming up on the 18th of November. Thank you, and cheers.